Welcome to Remote First Innovators, the podcast for leaders who are scaling companies built for the modern world. We sit down with founders and experts in distributed work to explore how they've broken down barriers and solved the real-world challenges of growing and running remote teams. Each episode dives into practical strategies for onboarding, IT, security, compliance, and everything it takes to build a thriving distributed business. No fluff, no theory, just what works when your team is everywhere and operations never stop. Here's your host, Jake Gump.
Welcome to another episode of Remote First Innovators. Today we have a sales coach, author of 9 books, including Timid Entrepreneurs Have Skinny Kids and Mastering Sales Language. He's a host of multiple workshops, including 7 Reasons People Say Yes. He's got 30 plus years teaching entrepreneurs how to sell without pitching. Our guest today is Brian McNeill. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jake. I'm super excited about being here. You did a great job with my intro. We're going to share today between you and I. Everyone that watches this podcast is going to feel better about themselves and how they sell, and they're going to all be more confident, and they're going to understand it differently. And this is not what I hope to accomplish, but I know will be true today between brother Jake and I.
I love that. I love your energy. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you, taking time to spend time with us. And, I want to dive right in and let's just, we were talking, yesterday about the transition, especially around COVID time. And we were talking about sales, going from in-person to the office. And so I'd just like to dive right in here and basically just, what was that, single biggest mindset shift, if you will, that you made when you started selling from the office?
I'll tell you, actually, my home office, when COVID hit in March of 2019, it surprised, March 19 or 20, whatever it was, 20. But it surprised me and it surprised my wife. It surprised us because I was doing sales training on site. I was going to the offices, going to the companies and doing workshops there and having a great old time doing it, meeting great people, having lunch with dynamic people. And then when the COVID hit, I was caught off guard, like a lot of people were. I was like, oh, shoot, what are we going to do now? Because we had gotten accustomed to that's how we lived. That's how we made our money. And then what we discovered is I could do Zoom presentations. And it didn't take that long either, Jake. But what we figured out very soon afterwards, you know what? I could do these same workshops from right here. I don't got to drive hours. I don't got to get on nobody's plane. And I found myself with a certain few tweaks, I found myself able to earn the same money and even more because I was able to do more. I was able to serve more people from the home. Instead, like doctors used to make house calls and they would see 6, 8 patients a day. But when they stopped that, they were able to see 90 patients a day, okay? Because everybody had to come to them. And their income skyrocketed, from the barely struggling doctor to the, making a lot more money. So, but we made that shift too. And now I think the pendulum is shifting back a little bit, Jake, because not only me, but a lot of thought leaders, a lot of coaches, consultants, and trainers discovered the ease of doing it from home. Even national ones, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, they built these great studios in their home and they do all of their work from their home. They don't go anywhere anymore. Les Brown said, I'm not getting on anybody's plane anymore. Why would he do that? Because he doesn't have to. But I think the pendulum is shifting back a little bit where the society has an appetite for in-person. They want some in-person. And I'm excited about it too. But I know how to make it from home, but I think I want to get back in front of them some more.
And you mentioned Zoom calls. I think that there was probably many like me that, you might feel a little bit off balance on Zoom. What do you think is the fastest way to gain presence and trust early in a Zoom call?
The fastest way to get, it's interesting you asked me that question. In my work, I'm dealing with a lot of people that are already accomplished. Okay. They already feel like they're good. What is this guy going to teach me about how to sell? I've already been at the top of my company structure. I won this retreat because I'm so good at selling. Why should I listen to this guy? And that's a regular part of my job. Okay. Are they going to bring me in somewhere to be the sales speaker with a room full of people who already think they know everything? And I don't know if this will work for everybody, but this is what works for me. It takes me minutes. I give them a chance to be wrong. Okay. I'll ask some obvious questions that they think they know, and I'll let them feel how wrong they are. For example, I might say, why do you think anybody would buy anything from you? Why do you think they would hire your services? Why would they take your counsel? Just yell them out. And Jake, I'll hear some stuff like, because I'm experienced, because I'm hardworking, because I've been there and done that, because I really, really care, because I'm so passionate, because I have certifications and degrees, because I'm fun, because I'm funny, because I go the extra mile, because I'm available, because I'm disciplined, because I'm honest. All of those things are great. And none of those are reasons why people would give you money. All of those are things that make people like you and not give you money. Okay, consider that. There's a lot of people that you know are in business that you like, but you've never done business with them. Why not? Because you don't have a reason to. And there's a lot of people that like you and they know what you do and they've never done business with you. Why not? Because they don't have a reason to. Liking you is not enough. And I prove the point too. You like that person, fine. Have you done business with them? No, why not? Because they don't. And then I give them the teaser as to why people will pay money to you. Because it ain't the same as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, much less, 20 years ago, which a lot of companies still go by. But for example, I say, do you save your clients any time in any kind of way? Or do you help them achieve a result faster in any way? Obviously, they can. Well, time is a reason to give you money. If they like you a little bit and you can help them to achieve a result faster, then that's a reason to give you money. Time is a reason to give you money that you already have as a benefit, but you don't talk about it. It's as if you didn't have the benefit. You know, is there anything you get done faster? They all start nodding head. They understand it. How about now? Money is another reason to give you money. Does your service help them to either save money or earn more money or both? And for most of them, it does, but they don't mention it. Okay. So if you help them to save money by keeping them from buying things that don't work, keeping them from chasing shiny objects, showing them a way that they can earn more money or whatever it is. Okay. If you can do that, you should talk about how your service helped them when it comes to their money, because that's a good reason to give you money. Okay. And I do that up front. And then it's like, okay, plus I play games with them. I play listening games up front where they get a lot of answers wrong, and but they have fun with it. Okay, and then I hit them with that.
Yeah, you took me through a little exercise there yesterday, opened my eyes a little bit, asking me four different questions.
Yeah, man, that's one of my favorites.
And I tell you, it got me thinking after our call. I was like, I need to step my game up a little bit here.
Mhm.
What habits do you think someone needs to be doing on a daily basis to take their sales to the next level?
Good question. Um, if you, I believe that you should be studying your craft 30 minutes to an hour on every day that you work. And not just sales, but sales psychology, people, buying habits, your industry, and of course, sales too. But 30 minutes to an hour every day that you work, you got to stay sharp because you just can't do it the way you used to do it. I think you need to put yourself in the way of success. Go where the successful are, watch what they watch, read what they read, get into the flow of what the champions do. But if you ever, I never let people think, and I admonish them, don't ever let yourself think that you have the whole game figured out. Don't ever let yourself be ripe and rotting instead of green and growing. Keep yourself green and growing. So yes, and that thing there about studying daily, that's a self-discipline thing. No one's gonna watch it. Okay. But you can't cheat your game. Your game knows if you're applying yourself. Yeah, I call game your business. Your game knows if you're applying yourself. You can't hide from it. Your game knows if you're working hard or not. And you can't hide from it. Mhm.
I know that whenever I switched to remote, I had to get really slick on my computer. I had to make sure I had my presentations ready. Nobody likes to sit and wait for stuff to load and, fumbling around, making sure you have everything. It took me, I would sit and practice and
Mhm.
actually, have everything up and ready and try to get, go through my slides, go through, presentations quickly. And, it really forces you to get slick on this stuff to make it look like you know what you're doing. Right.
Well, that's what champions do. Champions practice before the game. Amateurs practice on their best prospects. Okay, that's a champion principle. What you were doing.
Yeah, love that. And if you wouldn't mind, I would just like for you to, go through those 4 questions you were asking
Okay.
and just, I just want to know what, if you want to run through it with me, that's fine.
Okay.
If you want to just, tell me, list out the question and then
And the psychology behind it.
what are you listening for?
Yeah, well, I will tell you, no one's ever asked me that, but that's a great question. Um, when I get a chance on, especially online, if it's a Zoom presentation or virtual presentation, I come armed with 4 questions that I know I want to ask, and I get a lot of mileage out of these questions. This is insider stuff for your audience, Jake. But my 4 questions, first question I ask is, I want to put them in a scene. I say, if you were at a live networking event and it was a good one, if you were at a live event and you were having a good time there and you were meeting cool people there, I said, you've probably been to these events before. Absolutely, they have. Okay, great. So if someone at this live event smiled in your face and said to you, Jake, what do you do for a living? In that scene, what would you say? And what I hear, I'm listening for their selling skills right up front. They'll say sometimes stuff like something cute. Well, I say, I'm in the people business. Okay. Or I'm in the happiness business. I said, okay, well, let's play that out. What does that mean? Well, I make sure that people are happier. I ask them what their pain points are, and then I help them solve those problems. Really, you ask them up front what their pain, they don't even know you well enough. That's what I'm thinking. They don't know you well enough to share all that stuff with you, but okay, that's what you say. That's fine. And sometimes they give overly descriptive answers. What do you do for a living? Well, I have provided a vitamin that does such and such and goes to this level of cellular this and that and woo wee, or they give really, really technical answers. And if it takes more than a minute for them to answer that question, and I'm looking at it, okay, I say, okay, I see they need help. So if they're overly descriptive or if they're cute answers, those things do not sell and they do not compel either. Okay. But I listen to it with a good decoration on my face. Question number 1 is, what do you do for a living if someone asks you in person? Okay. I want to leave room in case you want to piggyback or chime in on it. Okay.
Well, you had me thinking about my elevator pitch. I mean, typically that's what I try to give right away, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, you got me thinking right away. I just loved how you got me thinking.
Hmm.
What was,
Well, I'm gonna go through them all.
yeah, go through them all there.
Okay. But first, I love selling, Jake, and you need to know this about me. I've read more than 700 books on the topic of sales and sales management. I have 9 books myself, and I know what the great books are. I love selling so much that I'm technical. I'm very technical. So I teach and preach to never pitch. I tell people no pitching. You don't need an elevator pitch. You don't need a killer pitch. You need to tell your story. And I'm gonna teach them how to do that right now. But my first question is, what do you do for a living if someone was in front of you? After I get my answer, the second question is, I say, who do you believe would pay for your services? Now, this is a very incisive question. Who do you believe would pay? I hear answers like everybody or anybody or everyone who owns a home or everyone who has skin or everyone does that. Now, I know right away that that's an incorrect answer. Okay, because everyone, even if everyone could use it, not everyone could use it from you. And you have a right to your personality, and so do they. So I'm listening to, who do you believe would pay for your services? Oh, my services are very, very niched. They'd have to understand ROI and this. Okay, that means you don't know how to explain it. Okay, but I don't say that to them. Okay, if you can't explain it that a 4-year-old could understand it, that means you don't understand it either. Okay, so you can't simplify it. And or if the answer is has a lot of industry jargon in it. Okay, now they need help selling. Who do you believe would pay for your services gives me a lot of mileage. Question number one is, what do you do for a living? Number two is, who do you believe would pay for your services? That's my first two questions. I get my answers and I make my notes and I keep it moving. Question number three, once someone decides to hire you and they accept your counsel, they do the things that you're recommending that they do, they're investing the money that you even recommend that they invest. They hired you, they paid you the money that you want, and they're taking your counsel. And once that's going on, what do you call them? What do I call them? Yes. What do you call the people that have invested in your services and taken your counsel? I'm looking for what they call them. Sometimes they say stuff like, well, I call them friends, or I call them my family. I call mine my clients, okay, indicating that they're going to keep working with me, or I call them smart, or I call them, that's what they say.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to what they call the people, okay? Now, the trick is, whatever they call them, that's their real business. They think they're in some other business, but their real business is whatever they call the people that they earn their dollars through, okay? But they don't know that, but I know. That's question three. Question number four is, what business would you say that you are in? Well, I'm in the insurance business. I'm in the real estate business. Okay. I'm in the happiness business. I'm in the people business. All those cute answers, okay, they're missing the point. But I'll take it, okay? So with those four questions, what I look for primarily is what problem they're solving. That's number one. I'm looking for what problem they're solving. And then I take that four questions and then I answer the question. I pretend I do what they do. Let's do it real quickly just so they can see live speed. So Jake, if you were at a live event and someone asked what do you do for a living, what would you say?
I would say that I sell IT services.
I sell IT services. Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. That's number one. Okay. Now, the way I heard that is he sells IT services to companies that have technology that may need servicing. The problem is they have the technology, they have the equipment, and they can't do it on their own or they can't do it well. That's the problem he's solving. He said, I sell IT services, and I transmuted that. Okay. Question number two, Jake. Who do you believe would pay for your services?
And yesterday I said any business owner that has a business from 0 to 500
Mhm.
that is in professional services and that are dealing with IT issues. That would be my clientele.
All right, so I got that. He said Eddie, and I would have wrote it down. Okay, Eddie, just fucking point you. But I know what I'm going to say at the end.
Yeah.
That's question two. Question number three: once they hire you and accept your counsel, what do you call them?
I said client or partner.
Okay, client or partner. Got it. And question number four is: what business would you say that you are in?
I said IT services, managed services.
IT services. Okay. Now I know that Jake has committed 2 sales crimes now. Okay. So I say, well, Jake, let me pretend I'm in your business, doing what I understand what you're doing. I'm not gonna nail it. But if I was to do what you're doing, please ask me what do I do for a living.
Brian, what do you do for a living?
Jake, you know how there are so many companies that have multiple types of technologies. They have more than one computer, laptop. They have software that they're using. And the software that they're using is critical to how well the company performs. You know what I mean? So when they have something down or their system's not working right, or if they're curious about if they're getting the maximum effectiveness of this, it often frustrates them. It often costs them money. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, what I'm going for is agreement, okay? And any kind of agreement is enough. I don't understand it to the level of Jake, okay? But I'm looking at Jake's face. I'm looking for either a head nod or him to say, yes, I understand. The moment he agrees with me is a magical moment. The moment he agrees with the problem that I introduced, it took me 2 sentences instead of one because I don't understand it to his level, okay? Once he agrees, that is the moment where he has metaphorically taken me by the hand, and now I can take him on a journey. If you don't get them to buy in up front, they don't go with you. Okay, they just heard you. And the moment you finish talking, they're going to flush what they've heard. Okay. So I got him to agree. And any kind of agreement is enough. A head nod and uh-huh. You don't need a big agreement. You need any kind of implied agreement. That's enough. So I got him to agree. Once I get him to agree, then I transitioned him and said, well, what I do is, now here I am only telling them that I do it, not telling him how I do it, not telling him my process. I'm just saying that I do it in a matter of fact way. It's a 3-part story format. The first part is to get them to agree on the problem. I do it with a you know how. There are so many, and the problem needs to sound like something that's easy to understand and easy to agree to. And I'm going for agreement. It does not have to be done elegantly. It doesn't have to be done smoothly. You just got to get them to agree. It don't have to be smooth or slick or none of that. You just got to get them to agree it's a problem. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That's all I need. Move on. The second part of the story is, well, what I do is I'm only telling them that I do it. What I do is I ensure that these companies' technology is always working well and they always have the right systems for that company. I do it through my services. That's it. I'm not persuading anything, defending anything. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about my process. I go and do an analysis of their company, see what systems that they're using. None of that. I'm just saying that I do it in a matter of fact way. It's not worthy of debate. I just handle that through my company. Done. Okay. The beginning part is get agreement on a problem. The middle part is introduce myself as a solution. That's it. The ending of the story is the most important part. You know how? Well, what I do is the ending last phrase is so that they can. Why does Jake do all this cool stuff? Why does he do it? Now, if he doesn't tell me why he does it, if he doesn't give me 1 or 2 tangible benefits of working with him, he's committing a sales crime. If you tell people what you do and don't tell them the benefits of what you do, here's what happens. If they understand that Jake does how do you call it? IT support?
Yeah.
Okay, IT support. He does IT support. Okay, but if he doesn't say the benefits so that they stay current, they stay most efficient, they stay most profitable. If you don't add any kind of benefits to it, I'm going to lump him into the category of anybody else that I ever heard of that does anything close to what he does. If you don't say the benefits, they lump you into an industry category. But the cool thing is if you will bother to say benefits of why working with you, they'll attach the benefits to your name. If you'll say the benefits out of your mouth, they attach the benefits. If you don't say it, they attach the industry. Okay. And you don't want to attach the industry to your name or your service. There's no one like you, Jake. No one has your unique collection of gifts, skills, talents, and experiences and education and seeing what you've seen. Nobody else. So I don't want you to let them lump you into an industry category. There's value in everything that's rare. If someone decides to hire you, Jake, and pay you the money that you ask and they accept your counsel, are they going to be better off than they would have been if they had just kept their money? Are
Love that. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So if you know absolutely they're going to be better off, I want you all to adopt this. If you know they're better off investing their money with you and your services, if you're absolute about it, like Jake is, I want you to adopt this philosophy. Lucky them if they get to work with you, not lucky me if I get a client, because I know they're going to be better off. Lucky client if they get to work with Jake. Lucky client if they get to work with Brian. They hire me, I know they're going to get benefits right away, but I also know they're going to benefit from my help next week, next month, next year, and probably for the rest of their careers. Okay? So no matter what I charge, who's going to be a big winner? Because whatever they pay me, I'm going to spend that on something. Okay, I'm going to pay my bills or whatever. But once they pay me and once I do what I'm going to do with their money, my money's gone. But they get to keep the benefits. They gain so much more than what I gain. They gain so much more than what you gain. And you need to see that too.
I love that. As you're saying that, I'm thinking, I get so excited. I get excited about selling because I get excited about if the client comes to work with us, I know what my team can do for them,
Yeah.
and I feel like it bleeds over into that. But you know, and I love how it's a story format, right?
Mhm.
You talk about that, and I love that way. Everybody loves a good story.
That's right.
The thought that I had yesterday when we were talking is that I feel like I'm good at telling stories, but what if I start getting a little bit pitchy? And
Okay.
how do I avoid that?
Yeah, I can show you how to avoid that. Okay. When you're talking to clients, um, how do you want them to feel when you're done?
I want them to feel like there's a lot of value and that their time spent with me was valuable and they got something from it.
Good. If you keep how you want them to feel when you're finished in your head, it'll keep you from running off the course. Okay. Because you're focusing on how they're going to feel, on what they're going to gain. We typically run off course when we focus more on how do I sound or how am I coming across instead of to what they're going to gain. Okay. That's what you got to focus on. You don't sell to yourself, you sell to other people. And why would I go around talking about, Brian is so great, 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 and he's great, great, great. And I'm selling Brian on Brian. Yes, I believe you, Brian. You are great, but your clients don't live with you. Okay, they need to know how you're going to benefit them. There's two things your clients want from you so much that they don't say. They really want this from you. And if you will give this to them, they can reward you with their business. The number one thing they want from you, they don't say it, but they really want is they want to believe that one of their problems can be solved through you and your services. One of their big problems. And you have a lot to say about whether they believe that the problem can be solved through you. Can you demonstrate some proficiency? Can you teach them something? Can you share something what other people have said? And today, really, you have to give value before you could dare ask. And the challenge today is you have to give good stuff. You can't just give trite stuff. You can't just give stuff in. You got to give something good just to earn the right to ask for money. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. You got to give good, either teach them something or help them with something or solve a problem. I once had a home security company hire me for a year because they wanted to interview. They were interviewing sales trainers, and they asked me this question because, well, I've had this one objection. It was the ownership that nobody's ever been able to overcome. Okay, it was this one objection that they don't have any good answers to, and we don't know what would you say if a client said that to you? And it was an easy one for me. Okay, so I showed them on the board. I went to their drawing board. I wrote it down for them, and I showed them how to handle it, and their whole minds changed. Oh my gosh, we had no idea what to say when the client say this, but it was an easy one for me because I'm in the game. That's what I do. I studied all the time, but I gave them some value, and that justified them hiring me. Okay, so give them some value first, um, and to keep them sounding pitchy. I don't fear that at all. But I'm going to say this with you. Uh, I'm going to get some permission. Okay. One of the reasons why I never fear sounding pitchy, and my clients don't fear sounding pitchy, is because I am a believer. Okay. I believe in the tenets of the Bible, those kinds of things. And there's this one parable called the sin of the desert. The sin of the desert is when you know where the water is, but you won't tell anyone else. When you know where the solution is, but you're keeping it to yourself. The sin of the desert is the height of selfishness. Now, if your service can solve a problem for them, you're supposed to sell it. And if you won't sell it, you're committing the sin in the desert. You're being selfish. You're having the solutions and you're keeping it to yourself. They don't have to accept it. I don't have to worry about how it comes across, but I do need to offer it to them because they're going to be better off because I'm not selfish. I know I have water that will help them and I'm going to offer it to them.
I love that.
Okay.
I love that.
Woo-hoo.
Man, that's good stuff right there.
Mhm.
We were talking yesterday about, people buy from people they know or people they like or people they trust. You teach that liking it just isn't enough.
Right.
So
I keep posting that all the time.
so
Um,
so so what are the top reasons why people say yes?
Okay. I went down, I gave two already, but let's address this no KLT, this no like and trust. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. Boom. And normally that comes from someone really well intentioned. They mean well when they say that. And if there was a time when that was closer to true than it is today. First off, problem I have with it is it's an abbreviation. It's not the real script point. The know, like, and trust is an abbreviation from the original Greek formula, which meant that people must like you before they can listen to you. They must listen to you before they can trust you, and they must trust you before they can buy from you. What people mess that up with is they don't have to like you enough to put you in their wedding. They don't have to like you so much that they invite you to their house. They only have to like you enough to hear your story. That's enough, period. I can go. And besides that, people do business all of the time with people that they barely know. Do business all the time.
Right.
And there's a danger of being too familiar. I can't work with Bob. Bob and I are buddies. I can't work with him. You've crossed the line. You've gotten too close. Okay. I can go into a BNI meeting and visit the BNI. And I'll see it's very obvious that the people in this room all know each other and they like each other a great deal. They give out packets of everybody's business card because they want all the visitors to know that. And I can pull money out of that meeting within 1 week. I can get a client within 1 week because I gave value. I showed them something, okay, that they can benefit from, and they can see they can benefit from it right away. Whereas people could be there for 6 months or a year, has not gotten a sale yet out of the group, but they like the people. Okay, number one is this is a way that people today, and this some of this could be another residual effect of the pandemic. This whole idea of social media can sell for you, your branding can sell for you, your funnel can sell for you, and you don't have to ever ask for business. It's so romantic to think that I can just make a post and get a client. That's so romantic. That sounds so great. I can get my colors right and all that. The challenge is, even if your branding and marketing and funnels work, even if they work well, even if people are raising their hand, at some point, somebody's got to say, will you hire us? Or will you accept my business? Or will you pay me? Somebody's got to say it. Your marketing and branding can't do that for you. It can create awareness. It can create awareness in the right way. And that's critical to do. But at some point, somebody's got to ask for the business. Okay. And that's where sales come in. So, and this whole thing about being liked, they don't risk. This is the number one crime entrepreneurs are committing. The number one crime they're committing is for the risk of not being liked, they won't even ask for business. They won't even ask. They'll do great presentations. They'll become buddies. They'll become likable, but they won't ask for business because if I ask for the business, I might risk my newfound friendship. And that's a lose-lose situation. Your client doesn't get the benefit of your services and you don't earn anything from it. And you, especially if they know that you can help them. If they know that you can help them and you don't offer your services, they like you less because you're basically making fun of their bad situation. You're not helping them. You're not even offering to help them.
Right.
That's the number one crime. They won't even ask for business.
I see this a lot with my new salespeople that they they're also afraid of what comes after. If you ask for the business, typically you pull out those objections, and then they have to overcome those objections. And oftentimes, what do you see when those objections come?
um, the lost art of overcoming objections. Don't even try to overcome objections today. Most of them, it's a lost art. But it goes back to how you ask. And I'm going to tell you how I want all of you guys to ask for business. Do it this way. Okay. All right. Let me just, I want you to use these exact words. This is how I want you to ask for business, and you'll feel better about yourself and you'll help the clients. But before I get to this, I need to say this to you, Jake. When I do a live workshop, one of the exercises I typically would do is I'll say, is there anyone in this room that has any cash? And hold it up. And I'll pick some woman out of the room. All right, bring your cash up here to me. She runs up and they start applauding her. She comes up on stage. Okay. I say, hand me the money. She hands me the money. I said, now I want you to put your body so close to my body that the side of your body is touching the side of my body. And she does. I said, now put your arms around me and squeeze me to you tightly. And she puts her arms around me and squeezes me to her body tightly. I got the microphone in one hand. I got her cash in the other. And I say to the audience, what is going on this stage right now? And they'll yell out a bunch of stuff. And then I'll say, what's really going on is I got a pretty woman to get out of her chair, bring me money, and hug me in front of you. Now, how did I get that to happen? You're right. They get the laugh. How did I get this to happen? And she's still holding on to me, and she's laughing too. She didn't do anything that I didn't ask her to do. She only did the things that I asked her to do. She didn't do nothing I didn't ask her. I got this all going on because I was willing to simply ask for her. Okay. Then I thank her for coming up on the stage. I pocket her cash. And she gets the lesson. Now I give her our money back. But they all get the point. And then I say, you don't get any of the sales today that you don't ask for. Here's how I want you to ask. Once you believe they fully understand how you and your services can be helpful to them, and you get to decide when that is. It can happen early, it can happen late. But once you believe they understand how your service can be helpful to them, say these words. Will you give my services a try? Will you give us a try? Will you give my services a try? Will you give us a try is such a non-threatening way to ask for business. Showmanship matters too. Your facial expression needs to be confidently expectant. And you have to ask that question as if you're bragging on the question and as if you fully expect them to say yes. If you offer it timidly, you're going to accept timidly. It's going to be $10,000. Okay, that's $10,000. To take care of you in the way you want to take care of, we're going to do it for $10,000. Will you give us a try? You keep your face confidently expectant. You should be thinking about how much better their situation is going to be, how much you're going to help them, how much they're going to benefit from this. You cannot be thinking about, oh my gosh, if we say no, if you're thinking about that, whatever you're thinking when you offer it to them, whatever the negative thing you're thinking or the positive thing, whatever you're thinking, it's going to shine through your eyes and it's going to resonate in your voice. If I'm thinking I'm about to make $5,000 on this sale, that's going to come through my voice too.
Yeah.
I'm about to help him and his whole company and everybody in the company. That's going to come through too. And the dumbest client you ever going to meet can still tell if you're sincere or not. You can't fool anybody anymore, and don't even try. Don't say anything that you don't 100% believe. Nothing. Because whatever you say that you don't believe completely will cause a shadow to cross your face, and they will not be able to trust you for some reason. It's because you had that thought. You can't afford the luxury of a negative thought when you're in the presence of your clients. That's a luxury you don't have. It's got to be helpful. It's got to always be helpful.
Uh, man, this is sales gold for all of the young salespeople. If you're listening, man, you need to tune in to Brian here, and let's before I go on to your books, 'cause I do want to cover your books and talk about a couple of those with the time that we have left. But
Okay.
before that, I wanted to kind of pick on myself a little bit. You kind of caught me off guard yesterday when we went through that exercise, and you picked on the fact that I said any, and
Yeah.
and 0 to 500, and just you can't sell to everybody, even though you think you can.
Right.
And if you just unpack that for us.
I sure will. Thank you for giving me that setup. Um, Not only can't you sell to anybody, everybody, you don't want to. You don't want to. You have a right to your personality, and they have a right to theirs. There are some people that can hear you and get you, and those are ones that you want to work with. There's some people that you can't. There's a difference between what's called high probability selling and low probability selling. High probability selling is you're only offering your services to the people and in the arenas where you have the highest probability of being successful. Low probability selling is trying to sell to anybody and everybody. Okay, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to have a lot more failures because you're burning yourself out using all your energy in a place where you shouldn't even be talking. Think about this. If you're talking to a potential client and you get the feeling that they don't really respect you, or they're speaking to you in a condescending way, or they want to tell you how to do your work, or they want to rush you through your process, is that a good client for you? Now, if you don't think that is a good client for you, if you don't want that kind of pushy client, if you don't want that person, then you're just admitting that you don't want to work with anybody and everybody, because that person does exist. If there's any type of person that you don't want, you're admitting that you don't want to work with everybody. Okay. What you do want to do is work with people that can get you. You want to work with people. And besides this, companies don't hire you, a person at the company. An organization doesn't hire you, a person at the organization, a person. So you want to work with people that can hear you and you can hear them. Your communication is easy. Okay, that's one thing you want to work with. Because somebody that you can communicate with and that you like. Okay, that's it. And if you like them, but you can communicate with them, and I check it all the time. Like when someone gets close to wanting to hire me, Jake, even when they say, "Yeah, we want to bring you in, Brian, to train our salespeople." Now that's a dangerous moment for me, okay? Because now I shift. They say they want to hire me, okay? I got to check this out. I say, now, thank you very much. I think you're a little good job for you and your company. But before I send this invoice, before I accept your money, please tell me, why do you want to hire me? Now, this time, I always do this is what you call bringing them off the mountain. When a client says yes to you, they're as high as they can be emotionally. They're on an emotional mountain. And if you don't manage them coming off the emotional mountain, your sale is weaker and it may fall apart. And I don't want any sale to fall apart. So when they're on the emotional mountain, I say to them, before I accept your money, why did you decide to hire me? I'm looking for a logical answer. I'm looking for the kind of thing that they would tell a buddy or a neighbor as to why they hired me. Now, if they say stuff like, well, Brian, I just think you're terrific. I followed your career. I know about your books. I just think you're a great guy. And we want an association with a great guy like you. That is not a good reason to let them hire me. And I won't. That's not enough. I don't live there. If they hire me just because I'm a great guy, soon as I'm out of their presence, soon as I'm away from that Zoom, soon as I'm out of their room, the reason to hire me is gone too. I'm looking for a logical reason. If they can't come up with one, if I can't hint for them to come up with one, I'll just give them one and get them to agree. I appreciate that in kind words. Thank you very much. But you're hiring me because you know you guys could be selling at a higher level and having more fun with sales. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'll tie it down because they couldn't come up with it. Don't let them hire you because of how great a guy you are. Only let them hire you because they see tangible benefits for themselves that they can articulate. They can see benefits for themselves that they can articulate. How great a guy or how great a gal you are is not a good reason to give you money. It's just not. It's feel good. If they compliment you, thank them, but don't let that be the reason. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. But you're hiring me not because of that. You're hiring me because of your company needs this service. Is that right? Yes, that's exactly right, Brian. Good. I got them to agree.
Do you feel like that at what point did you realize, obviously, you had to have some deals that didn't close.
Mhm.
Um, at what point did you realize that, "Man, I gotta bring him off this mountain?" Like, how long ago was that? I mean, was that early in the game for you, or is that kind of, man,
You,
when you get
you
to the master
ask
level.
amazing questions, Jay. Another question that I haven't had to answer in a while. Um, I was bad at selling at first. And then I discovered my first book on selling and I got a little better. And I got another and another and I got a little better. And I became a sales manager. And became a corporate trainer. So I started training on 17 different offices on how to sell and close sales. And I've been doing that for many years. I've probably been doing that for um 10 or 12 years as a corporate sales trainer. And one lady in the room says, well, Brian, you quote all these other sales books and talk about all these other sales books. Where's yours?
Oh,
And I didn't have one.
yeah.
And I felt like a gut punch. Ugh. And I
Yeah.
hearing often enough, this is the best sales training we ever got. Man, we're great. But I didn't have anything. And I was doing it for a corporation. I wasn't on my own. Okay. To the question of when did I realize that what I had was good and that I could share it like this, it started from that question, where's your stuff? So the bug hit me. I need to hang out my own shingle and do this under my own umbrella. And I will tell you, my business is very successful. I make great money. I have great fun. I help my clients and I have hundreds of testimonials, literally hundreds of them. But it took me 4 tries to make it stick. I failed at this thing 3 attempts, even though I could sell my butt off, okay? And it was the same problem all 3 times. Every time, I would start off with my energy, enthusiasm, and showmanship, make a lot of money up front, and then less and less and less until it was no money. And then I had to go back into corporate America to keep my mortgage paid. Okay. And then I go back into corporate America and stay there for a little while. Then my confidence gets bolstered again, and I want to hang it out again. So I go try again. Full bore. I make a lot of money, and then less and less and less until it was no money at all. And I had to go back again. And I did that 3 times, and then the 4th time it was about to happen again. I was like, what the heck? Always the same thing. I know why it felt like that now, but at the time I was always caught off guard. But I got to the point where I didn't care if I lost everything. I didn't care if they took my Cadillac. I didn't care if they took my home. I wasn't quitting this time. And Providence opened up like right away. Once I finally resolved, I don't care what happens or what I lose, I'm not quitting. The door, it seemed like the heavens opened. Okay. It started to come. And then I got better and better and more confident. Now it'll be difficult for me not to be profitable because of systems. And systems are more profitable than skills. Y'all need to hear that. Systems are more profitable. The nuts and bolts of how you do your business, the not so sexy stuff. The stuff, it's fun to talk about closing, that's fun. How to use voice inflection to persuade, that's fun. Good selling work, that's fun. But what do you do on a Monday with your time? What do you do on a Tuesday? What do you time? What do you do between times that you're in front of your client, which is critically important? What you do when you're not presenting, that time in between, what do you do with that? That has a lot to say about how good you're going to be when you're in front of a client. So, but once you develop a system, I teach selling you and your services systems, the discipline stuff, the nuts and bolts stuff. Have that done. That's why an introvert can outsell an extrovert, and an extrovert can outsell an introvert. Any kind of personality can outsell any kind of personality. So people who think you got to be gregarious to be a great salesperson, it's just not true. You could be an introvert and quiet, but follow a system can make just as much money, if not more, than the most gregarious person. Okay.
I agree.
That's
I
why
agree.
educators make good salespeople, because they're accustomed to following the curriculum. So
Right.
do they. Mhm.
I agree 100%. It's always funny, the young salesmen think that you just somehow came in with this talent out of the womb. Yeah, you might be able to talk, you may be charismatic, right? You may have a good voice, or a face for radio, as we say. But let's be honest, it takes real work. It takes being uncomfortable
Mhm.
to be in sales. And I would even say in business, because you're gonna encounter, especially when you like, I work for creative IT, but I've got side businesses where you get uncomfortable really quick when you get out of your niche, out of your system or process, and there are going to be things that you're going to encounter. So it sounds to me like you hit that. You're like, I'm I'm going to make sure these deals are. I'm not coming across desperate to pay my bills. I'm going to make sure I walk them down off this mountain. It really sounds to me like that. You kind of hit that point.
And you have to learn that. And some things, Jake, you can only learn live speed. Okay. As is not feeling good, that's where your lesson happens. Good. Um, I'm into words, man. There's one more word I wanna say to you. Okay,
Yeah.
that I want you to not say no more. Okay. No deals. No pitches, no deals. We help people. Okay. I'd rather you say a sale than a deal. Okay. You help them
Yes.
with your sale. Um, and that's in my books too. I talk about these kind of things. Everything either adds to or takes away. Okay. There are bad selling words, there's good selling words. But I preach and teach no pitches, no deals. I had to train my chat GPT to never use certain words. Okay. I don't work like that. Okay. If someone was to pitch a ball at you, you're either going to hit it or catch it or dodge it, whatever it is, or get hit by it. And one of those things are things that you want them to do with your offer. You make offers. Okay. I don't pitch. I'll offer my services to them. Okay. I don't have a price. My services are available for this much, or I make my services available for this much. These things might sound little and they might sound trite to some people, but to your own subconscious mind, they matter a great deal, because you have to think a certain way to even use these words.
Now, what one of your books talks you have a book specifically on these words.
Yeah.
I want the audience to know which one they can pick up there for that.
My all-time bestseller is called Mastering Sales Language. Eliminate these 21 harmful phrases and embrace words that sell. Eliminate 21 harmful phrases. Like no one has any money. I don't like selling. I don't like salespeople. I'm gonna go pitch. I'm gonna get me a deal here. Those harmful phrases. Eliminate them and and it gives good word replacements. No one has any money when you know you can't get a parking space on a Saturday. That means somebody's spending money. You gotta stop saying that kind of stuff to yourself. So this little book right here is a gold mine. I mean, it's not a big book, but it's packed full of great stuff. And the reviews on it are made. That's me with my hands over my mouth. Mastering sales language, saying, shut your mouth, stop saying that stuff. Mastering sales language, yes.
It is. I've had coaches in the past, stop saying cheap, say affordable, just
Yes.
little, little items here that really, once your client hears those words, it changes,
Like
changes.
it says like, all you gotta do is give me a down payment and sign the contract, and I can set you up on monthly payments. There's a horrible sentence. 5 bad words. Payment is a bad word. Down payment is even worse. Contract is a bad word. Sign is a bad selling word. Okay, replace all that stuff. Okay, you know, contract, you can call it the paperwork, the approval, the agreement, any of that stuff. Instead of sign, your name, your approval on it. Now instead of down payment, it's upfront money or initial investment. Instead of payment, it's terms. These little things, we offer terms to make it easier to afford. Okay. We offer a help. Instead of selling it to them, we're going to help them with it. Okay. I sold the Jones, I sold the Thompsons, I sold the Williamses. I helped the Jones, I helped the Thompsons, I helped the Williamses. Okay. Every time they tempted to say the word sell or sold, replace with help or help, it fits beautifully because it's supposed to.
And I love the title of your other book, Timid Entrepreneurs Have Skinny Kids.
One of my favorite books. It's probably my favorite book. Timid entrepreneurs have skinny kids. Now, this is thicker than Masters in Sales Language. Timidity and entrepreneurship don't go together. They just don't. And it gives you a confidence when you knowing you're helping them. They don't have to accept, but you do have to offer. Um, this book right here, I think should be required reading for someone in the entrepreneur space. I think they go well together, actually. Timid entrepreneurs have skinny kids and mastering sales language. The investment in time, energy, dollars that you would put into those books will leap you ahead years. I offer a free consultation myself um, if you want to talk to me. I do think uh, I am uniquely positioned to help an organization when it comes to their team or their workshops or their conferences, and I want to do more of those. But I've spent 33, 34 years developing this, okay, developing this, studying the whole time. And I will tell you, I do not sell today the way I used to sell. Back when I first got in the game, Jake, we thought the key to being a great salesperson was being a great closer. So I studied closing, because that's what it was back then, but it's not anymore. Being a great closer, nobody will tolerate the stuff that we used to pull back then about how to close. Nobody will settle for. Nobody's gonna listen to a Ben Franklin close,
Right.
paperfold close, or this or that close, and airplane. Nobody's gonna tolerate that anymore. So you can't use it. You
Right.
have to sell today the way they buy today. Okay, and it's got to be easy for them.
To wrap everything up here, I always like to ask this question. You've had a long sales career, and I know that you love this so much. You're going to be going for years to come. Uh, was there anybody early in your career, maybe as a family member, maybe it was just a teacher, a coach, a coworker? Was there anybody that was just instrumental in making Brian McNeill in your career?
In my career, yes. I did not grow up with a lot of positive influencers of you can do it or who could tell me how to do it. No one in my family really had any money when I was coming up, and they didn't know how to get it. No one had ever taught it to them either, so they didn't know how to get it. Okay, so but my coaches and my mentors where you can end up being de facto coaches and mentors, like Zig Ziglar and Tom Hopkins and Brian Tracy. 1 second, please. 1 second, please. Okay. Yeah, so my de facto coaches were the people I read. Zig Ziglar, Tom Hopkins, Brian Tracy, Les Brown. And all those books, I will tell you, I went from one book, Og Mandino, I went from one book to another. And I read them one page at a time, okay? But when I finished one, I went immediately to another book and another book. And certain books stand out. Going from book to book to book on how to sell and how to manage salespeople, some of the books were better than others. And some of the books were dreadful. But it didn't matter to me. Even if the book was bad, I just doing it because I thought I was supposed to do it. Something say you're supposed to be studying 30 minutes to an hour. So I count that study as reading. That's what I count it as. Today, it's even easier because we all have YouTube University. I want you guys to think about that too. Some of the YouTube trainings are dreadful and some of them are better than others, okay? So, but there's a filter you have. You have what you've heard and what your marketplace is showing you when you're out there doing it and what you think. Those three things matter, okay?
Well, Brian, to wrap this up, I wanted to spend a lot more time with you. I think what we'll do is we'll end up having you back on later in the year, see at the first of the year, see what's hot. I didn't get to cover half of what I wanted to because the content's so good. You got so much value. Where can people get in touch with you and find you for sales?
Sure. I'm easy to find. Brian K. McNeill sales.com or Brian K. McNeill speaks.com. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. That's my jam, LinkedIn and Facebook. But let me just say Brian, BRIAN, the letter K, and then McNeill. There's 2 L's in my last name. But I always encourage you to use the letter K, Brian K. McNeill, because if you wanted to Google me, if you put Brian K. McNeill, you'll get a lot of stuff on me. Well, look me up on LinkedIn, Brian K. McNeill. There's some famous bluegrass singer with the name of Brian McNeill. So if you just say that, you might get some of his stuff or more of his stuff. But Brian K. McNeill, you're going to get a lot of me. And I do appreciate you, Jake, for having me. Thank you very much for this opportunity. If you're an entrepreneur, you're in sales, okay? You can call it whatever you want. But if you have a business, you're in sales. If you're a salesperson, you know what it is already. I want to encourage you today. If what you offer is good, you owe it to them to showcase it. Selling today is more a matter of motivation than it has ever been. Today's selling is motivating people to take an action, motivating them to take a movement. It's not transactional as it used to be. Give me money, I give you this. They have the money and they know what this is. Now you got to motivate them to take an action. Think of yourself as a motivational speaker or almost. Okay, but your job is to motivate people to take an action.
Brian, this has been great. Today we covered the stories over pitches, reasons why people say yes, asking for the money.
Yep.
I want everybody to go grab Timid Entrepreneurs Have Skinny Kids, and I want them to actually take the Mastering Sales Language and really take those books and apply it now. I think they'll get a lot of value. If this conversation helped you, tap follow, subscribe in your podcast app. It helps other people find Remote First Innovators. Drop a quick rating, 1 sentence review with your biggest takeaway, and share this episode with one founder or sales leader who'd benefit. Links and resources will be in the show notes. And this is Remote First Innovators. We'll see you on the next one.
Remote First Innovators podcast requires more than a conversation. It takes action, research, and collective wisdom. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear your insights. Join the conversation and help us shape the future together. We'll be back with more stories, strategies, and real-world solutions that are making a difference for everyone. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe, rate, write a review, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.